What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, let's continue with this very interesting week that we have going on. I am going to clear my charts. If you've been watching my videos this week, you'll know about everything. I am going to quickly outline today's delivery because it was quite interesting, but after that I'll clear the charts and then we can reanalyze and readjust to the situations. So yeah, quite an interesting day today. We did trade up into our buy side liquidity as targeted. We didn't trade into the weekly fair value gap, which is what I wanted to see, but instead we actually traded lower and ran out that Friday low, which is something I wanted to see get taken out either A, later on in the week, or B, first thing in the week. And obviously it didn't do it first thing in the week. If you've been watching my videos this week, you'll know that I wanted to see an up close week, meaning that I wanted to see the low get created on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday traded higher, which is why I kind of flipped my bias, saying, okay, it's likely maybe we're going to create the high first and then trade lower. However, it does look like it's possible that we made the low today on Wednesday. We just done it in a very dodgy and manipulative manner where we rallied Monday, Tuesday, and then obviously Wednesday got the drop. As we drop down to lower time frames, we will take a closer look at this. But what was interesting was to see that price did respect some of the PDRAs which we outlined in yesterday's video. So this level right here, which was an implied fair value gap, I was stating how I wanted to see price trade into that and then run up into the buy side and ideally trade on deeper into this. Now, although we didn't trade deep into the fair value gap, we did go higher and run out this buy side liquidity before dropping on lower. So it's interesting to see how we did meet our PDRAs as expected, but then this is what caught me off guard, and probably a lot of us as well. So we do need to be cautious as we move into the Thursday, especially with the high impact news. But yeah, that's pretty much why I wanted to leave the markings out, just to show you what I was outlining yesterday. And yeah, definitely go check out that video if you haven't already. Nonetheless, let's jump up to the daily, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe. I believe like 60 or 70% of you guys aren't even subscribed, which is interesting. But nonetheless, I'm going to clear the charts and we are going to drop down to the weekly, go up to the weekly, sorry, and then figure out where we want to see price expand to. So this fair value gap is still a target for price. Like, this hasn't changed. I still want to see if price can reach up into that. And then you can see that in terms of discount PDRAs, I was looking at this wick. But let's go to the daily. And I do want to bring our attention to this massive bullish order block. So if we look at the open of this, I was stating how this should provide support if we are bullish, and you can see how volume is remaining above it, which is all bullish signaling. Another thing to take note of is that we have now traded to the 25% level of this order block. Now, why is this significant? Well, 50% level is mean threshold, and 25% level, when price moves off a 25% level like this and we're assumingly bullish, it suggests that we're likely in for an expansion, because the 25% level is much more sensitive to price than the 50% level. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that to our attention just to show you that we've traded to that. Another thing to take note of is the fact that we've now ran out this Friday low, which is nice to see. I'm going to grey this out because we've grabbed those stops. So now, if anything, I'm looking for us to carry on trading up into this fair value gap. This is because, remember, I want to see an up close week, and that means that we need to see the expansion happen moving into Thursday and Friday. The fact that we came off this low like this, off the 25% level, and I do believe it was also a PDRA on the 4 hour as well, it means that, price has done its job down there in terms of taking out sell side liquidity. Now let's see if we can dig deeper into the premium. It was interesting to see that we tapped into it and then came off it, but this isn't enough for me to be happy with this PDRA being fully traded to, which is why I'm happy to see if price can get back into it. So let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see that sell side liquidity grabbed, and what you'll find right down below here is also relative equal lows. This is just classic sell side liquidity. So for price to come down and grab it like that, it's just classic price action. And then the way that we got this large reaction straight away trading on higher is very typical for price as well. So let's look at the midpoint of this lower wick, and you'll see how we're respecting that 50% level. So that's another bullish signal. So now I'm looking basically between this bullish order block open and where current price is for some kind of PDRA for price to key off to ideally trade on higher and start thinking about that Wednesday high as a target. So let's get that marked out as buy side liquidity, and we'll make that thicker like so. And then obviously we have this weekly fair value gap to fill, but now we need to look at what kind of discount PDRAs may be around that price can key off to then send it higher. So let's go to the 1 hour. And I am going to get my daily dividers up, so bear with me. And here is the week so far. So you can see we consolidated on Monday, expanded on the Tuesday. Remember, I wanted to see the low get created first, and then not until Wednesday did we see this low get created. This is the ideal low that I wanted to see happen on Monday or Tuesday. It just happened to happen on the Wednesday. So this is why there's still possibility and likelihood that we may still be in for a bullish week, why price may want to tread on higher. One thing I do want to bring your attention to is definitely the Sunday opening price, the gap right here. Let's drag that through, and you'll see our price just constantly using it to as like it's gyrating around it, isn't it? You can see it found support, traded through it, traded up through it, traded back down through it. So we do have to be very careful with this. Ideally, moving into Wednesday, we get above this level so that we are then comfortably set up for a potential long to the buy side. The lowest I want to see price trade tomorrow is ideally going to be this fair value gap right here. Any lower than that, I will be a little bit more suspicious. And don't get me wrong, this price action is very disgusting in general, so we do need to be careful. If we drop to the 15-minute, you'll see that we have a breaker, low, high, lower low, and then we have this massive run higher. So if I drag this out like so, I'm gonna make it red. This is the very lowest I want to see price trade. Why? Because this is a 15-minute breaker. So let's get that written out. Excuse me. This is the very lowest I want to see price trade, and then we have a bullish order block inside of that as well, right here. We'll just thin that up, and then there's also a fair value gap in there as well, right here. So I am going to be watching this to see how it acts around price, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did trade down into that before moving on higher and potentially targeting that Wednesday high, ideally. Now, if we trade through the 15-minute breaker, I'd simply just go short and expect us to run lower. However, like I said, I've wanted an up close week, so I'm going to stick with that bias until proven otherwise, and nothing has proven me otherwise yet. You could argue that this move right here to the downside was, is displacement, but the way I'm seeing it is the fact that we came back up so deeply and so confidently as well, back into the range, and our price is struggling to get back down there again. Plus we have this consolidation. There shouldn't be a need for price to get back down here. Another thing to take note of is if we look at the range, you can see that above here we have a premium and below here we have a discount. I'm looking closely at this discount to be buying if I'm expecting the premium to be offset above the buy side liquidity. Furthermore, we have relative equal highs. We have a bullish bias. And why do we have a bullish bias? Because ever since this high got taken there, and since this big move higher, consolidation, this is right here, I see a market maker's buy model basically. I might talk more on this on a Saturday video, just going more in depth, but generally speaking, I want to see if we can see continued support, allow this to provide support, and then higher prices in general. But I hope that all makes sense. But like I said, as soon as this gives way, so let's say the 15-minute breaker does give way, if price trades through that, I'll step away and I'm simply on the wrong side. It's as simple as that. But generally speaking, I'm looking for that to provide support to then reach our buy side liquidity target of Wednesday. Once Wednesday's high is taken out, Friday should be a pretty nice Friday should be much easier, because then we can start thinking about filling the fair value gap. But yeah, I hope that all makes sense. Very complex, and these are difficult market conditions. Do not get me wrong. Another thing we may want to pay attention to is this little consolidation right there. I'm going to make this grey, but we need to be careful of more places like these, because this is where we're likely to find resistance. So we need to just have them delineated, so then when price does find resistance at these levels, we're not shocked by it or surprised. So let's go to GBP USD. I am going to clear the charts here. If we're expecting higher dollar, that means that we should be expecting lower pound, right? So where do we want to see pound trade to? Well, again, let's go to the daily. I do believe there's a fair value gap to get filled. Now, there was this fair value gap which I've drawn attention to at the beginning of the week, but now this is where the gap lies. Now, look at these days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, absolutely disgusting. I do not like this price action whatsoever. Yeah, we have to be very careful and cautious. The very highest I want to see price trade, ideally tomorrow, is going to be the 50% level off yesterday's wick. And I know I always do this, but this is what I'm using to frame price, and these conditions aren't nice anyway. Nonetheless, and now we'll drop down to the lower time frame, and we'll look at what kind of premium PD arrays could price trade to before keying off it to trade on lower. So let's go down to that 4 hour, and you'll see how price traded higher, took out stops above here, and then what happened? Price got rejected and is now broken lower. I like how we closed right here. Very bearish. You know, there shouldn't be any need to continue higher. For the price to come around like this, it's a lot weaker than it seems. Yes, we had nice displacement to the upside here, but it didn't last long. We grabbed stops and look at how we're closing. So we need to pay attention to things like that. I am going to get the daily dividers up again on the 1 hour, so let's get that sorted. So here are the daily dividers, and you can see how we traded lower pretty much all week, before trading higher. In fact, this would be a good time to compare it to dollar. Let's add dollar in. New pane. So let's take a look at this. Mark out that low, grab that stop. So here's where we have a, what do you call it now? Divergence. This is divergence, guys. And if you're enjoying the content, make sure to join the Discord server because I got more to say. But nonetheless, look at how GBP took out this high here and then traded lower and failed to take it out here. Whereas look at how dollar failed to take out that low then, but just did it today on Wednesday. This is showing significant weakness in pound. Let's add euro just to help us with the analysis. And you'll know that euro, if you've been watching the price action, you know that euro's been moving significantly weaker. But you'll see, here's the divergence. So euros made lower highs. Pounds made lower highs. Only dollar has made that lower low. It shouldn't have made a lower low. We should have seen a higher low. Apologies for that, guys. A slight malfunction. Nonetheless, I'm going to explain this one more time. So although dollar's taken out its lows, we can see that GBP's failed to take out that high, and then euros also failed to take out that high. So the pairs are hinting to us saying, well, we want to move lower. Dollar's the only one that's grabbing these stops, and dollars will then should be forced to catch up. And that's where this is helping add to my bullish bias on dollar, that it should need to snap into place and trade on higher, because the pairs are showing that, okay, we don't want to take out those highs. We don't want to take out those highs. We want to go lower. So with the majority saying that, and dollar's the only one grabbing stops, this could be a sign of just a simple reversal at this point to then trade on higher and it creating the low. Anyway, yeah, some confusing stuff, guys. Let me get everything back to normal. So we're on GBP. So there's that wick level from the daily right here. And you'll see that on the hourly, that's a consolidation. So even more reason as to why price shouldn't need to trade back into that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the order block, which is this range right here. We'll drag that through. Let's make this red. And this will be the very highest I want to see price trade. So now we have a high where we want to see price get made at the very highest. Any higher than that, then we're likely bullish. Simple as that. And then we can line that up nicely with dollar, with this being the low, with this 15-minute breaker being the very low. So I am expecting a reversal tomorrow, basically, as in I want to see us rally, and then I want to see price dive later on in the day and run for this sell side liquidity below here. But honestly, guys, this has been a very difficult week in general. So like, again, very low risk if you're trading, and like, yeah, it's all just a matter of time, but it's been a very interesting week to say the least. Let's go to the 15-minute. There's that consolidation. Nice, beautiful displacement right here. This is a breaker, this last down close candle. Drag that through, you'll see how price has treated that. And it's very typical, this is something I've noticed with free backtesting, it's very typical for price to return to the breaker. So although we traded into the breaker here and then left it, it's so typical for price to come back to it. And there's a little high right here to engineer liquidity. So it'll be interesting to see how price acts once it gets up here. Let's see if we can get really specific, you know. So how do we do that? Well, let's go to the 5-minute and see if there's any PD arrays within this range that price may want to trade into. Well, we have a nice fair value gap here, and I'm not saying price is going to trade here, guys. I'm just saying it'll be interesting to see how price acts once it gets there, because if it respects it and, you know, there's a turn in the market, it'll be a nice selling point to go short into that potential Wednesday low. Obviously we trade through that, whole different story, but it's nice to see how that lines up with the 50% level off the wick as well. What a coincidence, right? Let's even drop down to the 1 minute. This is how you really home in on price. It's been a long time since I've been this accurate, and I'm not saying it's going to go there, but I'll be watching price when it does get there. So that's everything on pound. Yeah, I just want to see a rally before, a manipulation rally, higher before trading on lower, assuming we are bearish, and then target that Wednesday low. Finally, on euro, same thing. If we're expecting higher dollar, we want to see euro trade lower. So let's go to the daily. And don't get me wrong, euro's been incredibly bearish this week. So we might find that euro's already done most of its movement and it's struggling to get any lower, whilst pound's doing all the movement. So that is something to take into consideration. Where could we be trading to on euro? Well, there is a bullish order block here that we didn't quite trade into, but because we're so bearish, we need to be looking for lows, so daily lows. I am going to mark out this low. Why? Because it's the low of the bullish order block, right? So this is a significant swing low. It'll be interesting to see if price can expand down there. Obviously, we've got Wednesday's low because that's what we're targeting first, guys. But yeah, as we drop down to the low time frames, it'll be a lot more clear on where we should place our targets. I'm going to keep this one down here, but yeah, before that, what is the highest I want to see price trade tomorrow? Well, again, we have a nice range here, this low to this high. That's not really giving us much info though. Let's go to the 4 hour. Yeah, not clean price action, guys. I am looking at this wick though. It'd be interesting to see if price can rebalance with that, as in trade back into it. Let's go to the 1 hour, and there is a nice fair value gap in the premium. So let's get this fair value gap marked out, just because this is, you know, seems like the most obvious premium PD array to me. And I will get my daily dividers up, 1 second. So here are my daily dividers. Again, look at this day. Well, to be honest, it is a pretty classic day in terms of creating the low and then trading on higher. But these are, I find days like this incredibly difficult to trade. So make sure you're not kicking yourself. Here is an inversion fair value gap just above our targeted fair value gap. Why is it an inversion fair value gap? Well, we've traded through it on the upside, closed on the downside, meaning that it should act as a bearish fair value gap. So if price trades and reaches into that, which ideally it does, when to create the high of the day, because remember, we're looking for some kind of premium before expanding into the lows, that should be able to help send price lower. But let's go to the 15 minute, and you'll see again there's a fair value gap there, nothing really new. And there is a breaker here. This is a down close candle before the up move, before breaking lower. So, you know, that lines up nicely with that as well. Very interesting. We will go to the 5 minute. But yeah, generally speaking, I want to see some kind of rallying into a premium tomorrow. Now, obviously, we've still got the whole Asia session to trade, and obviously a lot can happen, as you can see. But yeah, it'll be an interesting day tomorrow, to say the least. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that all makes sense. Overall, I'm just looking for price to continue lower. I just want to see continued bearishness on the pairs, whilst dollar ideally rallies. Because as far as I'm concerned, for us to, you know, trade on high like this, take out these highs, drop down, and then come off this level like that in the sell side, while trading into a bullish order block, remember, you know, there's no reason. And we have a bullish bias in terms of wanting to see an up close week. In terms of all of that, that's why I want to see higher prices. But as soon as that 15-minute breaker gives way, guys, I'm out. Like, it's likely we're not. So it just takes a matter of being in the markets when price gets to these levels, watching them, looking at the time of day. Does it line up? And are we seeing support found at these levels or not? And this is what we call institutional order flow. And I mean institutional sponsorship. And I'll talk more on that tomorrow, depending on if it delivers or not. Well, that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Smash subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, join the Discord, join the mailing list. I have a live stream on Sunday, 8:30 p.m. London, where I'll be back testing, or you can watch last week's. That's under my videos. But yeah, guys, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.